The New York Knicks, coming off a controversial loss and foul call against the Rockets Monday night, are officially filing a protest against that game. And I want to talk to Mike Vaccaro, New York Post sports columnist, about this game and about this call. Mike, is that one of the worst calls you've ever seen in the NBA?
I'll go take you a step further, Ryan. It's one of the worst calls I've seen in any sport, any level. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, look, even if it was a legit foul, I mean, almost every referee ever born lets that play out because it's a desperation bailout heave from 30 feet. And if you call a foul there, you're giving the game to the Rockets. You just are, and that's just not how the NBA works out. And you compound it by the fact that on further review, the ref submitted it wasn't even a foul, so it was an ill-timed call, but it was also a bad call, and that's a tough 1-2 punch, and that's just the way things go sometimes.
Yeah, and I think the worst part of it is it is a third straight loss for the Knicks. They were sloppy, down 14 going into halftime. They looked tired, but they came back. They gritted, and that's like the team motto. I feel like this year is they continue to grind their opponents, and they fight back in these games. And the comeback ultimately falls short because of this. After an amazing pull up jumper from Jalen Brunson to tie the game, what more can you say about his efforts, the MVP level he's been playing at, and just how they were just robbed of this opportunity because of a foul call that should have never happened?
Well, that's the thing you have to remember is that there's no guarantee they would have won the game because they were going to be playing about 3-on-5 by the end because they were just players were dropping like flies. They still had to win the game in overtime. But look, I mean, Brunson is Brunson, and he had by his own admission a terrible game last night. He did. I mean, it wasn't that he just wasn't shooting well. I mean, he had some very uncharacteristic turnovers all throughout the game. He seemed to be a step slow, and Dylan Brooks did a great job defending him. But of course, when they needed him to make a shot, he made the shot, and that just kind of shows you what he is to this team. I mean, I guess if there's one positive to the last couple of weeks of all these injury blues is that they only lost Brunson for one game
Mm.
when he sprained that ankle. Look, if they lose him for an extended period of time on top of what was already missing, things could really get grim. But look, I mean, these are the dog days of the basketball season. I mean, we talk about the dog days in baseball being in August. I mean, these are definitely the dog days of basketball season, February, where it just seems like the season's never going to end. And look, I mean, I think everyone in the Knicks is going to take advantage of the 8-day break they're going to have, and try and get at least as healthy as they can get over that time.
Yeah, before I ask you about the injuries here, Mike, I just want to really wrap up this controversial foul call. I saw you write about the sports books and how there's a little bit of, I saw theories online from people tweeting about sports gambling and how much it's embedded with these huge leagues. The NBA, the NFL, all these big major sports leagues are so embedded with these sports gambling leagues and sports books. How did you feel about this with this foul call, considering the line moved from 4 to basically a pick 'em that game before the game started? The Rockets do end up covering the game, and the free throw attempts, the disparity between the Rockets and the Knicks was there. I mean, I believe it was in the 30s to almost 10 for the Knicks. So there has to be something there, right, Mike?
Well, I mean, do I think Jason Goble had money on the Rockets? I don't. I mean, do I think he's Tim Donnie 2.0? I do not. But look, I mean, the NBA gets what it gets. All sports get what they get because they're all now in bed with the sports books. And this is what you get when gambling is a intertwined part of the fabric of your product. When a ref's call goes the wrong way, now it's not just a bad referee or a good referee making a bad call. Now there's all kinds of conspiracy theories, and it's like with all conspiracy theories, they may be lunatics, but they're not necessarily crazy. And so as long as you have as long as you have this particular marriage between sports and gambling, I mean, this is going to be a conversation for people to have. And then you have the other stuff. You have the line falling. You have all the other ancillary stuff. And really, I mean, forget the line. All you need is a ref who wants to really win the money line, right? If that ever came to pass. Now, I'm not saying that came to pass in this particular case, but certainly you understand why people are talking, and you understand why there would be some chatter because that's just the way it's going to be from now on. Until sports gambling comes out of sports, and I'm afraid that toothpaste is out of the tube, and that ain't coming back.
Yeah, it's a very tricky line. It's interesting to think of the game this way and how the sports books have so, like you said, it makes you wonder and makes you think. Finally, the Knicks injuries. Dante DiVincenzo, he leaves the game late last night with a hamstring injury. He's questionable going into the game against the Magic coming up here. Hartenstein's still dealing with an Achilles injury. Obviously, we know what's going on with Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, both coming, returning from some more serious injuries. Jalen Brunson was banged up with the ankle. So, Mike, how soon and how much are the Knicks looking forward to this All-Star break? And how concerned are you about these injuries that continue to pile up with all these big name players for the Knicks?
Well, look, I mean, you take 8 days off the schedule without having to play a game. That's a huge thing for a team that has a lot of players healing, and even the ones that aren't necessarily on the injured list, guys like Josh Hart and Brunson. I mean, those guys are banged up. They could use the time. But obviously, it takes it's 8 days. You don't have to worry about playing without Anunoby, playing without Randall, playing without Hartenstein, playing without Mitch Robinson, on and on and on. And look, I mean, uh, they have to come back at some point. I mean, you hope that maybe Julius comes back within a week or two of the All-Star break, maybe another week or so after that for OG, and then once you're full again, you can start resuming this quest. The problem is that by that point, look, the Knicks had gotten themselves into a great point where they were eye to eye with the Bucks
Yeah.
in the East, where they were just a razor behind the Cavaliers in the East. And look, if they keep losing, they're gonna fall back into the middle of the pack. By the middle of the pack, I mean the 4 to 5. I mean, and that's fine. They can recover from that. Look, it was a nice thing to think about, maybe getting as high as the 2 seed or the 3 seed. That may not be doable just because they may not be whole until we're getting into March now, maybe the middle of March before they get ready whole. And that gives them a full month to play together, and it gives them some time to kind of repurpose themselves. But look, I mean, for this team at this point, I think what you want is you want them to be healthy with about 3 weeks to go, stay healthy, and then be at 100% when they're entering the playoffs. And then really nobody wants to play them. I mean, ideally, you would love to finish second or third because in that case, realistically, you probably are being able to avoid the Celtics to the Eastern Conference
Yeah.
Finals. But you know what? Once you're in, you're in. If that means the Knicks have to come out of the 5 seed like last year and then play the Celtics in the second round, assuming they both survive, that's the way it's got to be. And that's just the luck of the draw in terms of injuries. But they just need to get 100% and then see what they have from there.
Yeah, I think a lot of Knicks fans, all Knicks fans really are waiting to see this team fully healthy and just how good they can be. And like you said, we'll see how the position plays out. It's going to be that stretch run as soon as we're done with the All-Star break. There's only 20, almost 30 games left, less than that left in the season. Mike, appreciate you as always for coming on and just talking some Knicks basketball for us. And I know that last night was a controversial call to say the least. And we're looking forward to having you cover the Knicks rest of the season, man.
Thanks, Ryan. Good talking to you.